Welcome, everybody. Good day, good night, whatever it is for you. I'm sitting here with Mount Kenya behind me. We moved here a week ago just because the mountain has been calling. And I spoke to many people around the world who say the same thing. The mountain is calling. And I was wondering what it is. What is this call of the mountain? What is the power? We were down at the ocean and the ocean was pushing and pulling and there's salt in the air. And here we are at 1,900 meters, about 6,000 feet above sea level. And the energy is so different. And I remember 40 years ago when I was a student, going to a talk by Reinhold Messner, the person who first climbed Mount Everest without an oxygen mask. It was an auditorium with, I don't know, 300, 500 people in it. This, from the back, it looked like this small man with these huge pictures, and he had the audience in a spell for an hour. You could hear a pin drop, just talking about the reverence for this mountain, just sharing the humility that goes with being next to a mountain, the sacredness. And this has been going on for ages. People would come to the mountains to pray. People would come on pilgrimages to the mountains, and the mountains, there's a sacredness about the mountains. And we have these sacred mountains. We have Mount Shasta, Mount Kailash, Mount Everest. By the way, Mount Kailash, that pyramidal structure in the Himalayas, a group of Spanish people wanted to climb it, and it's a very sacred mountain to many people. And they actually, including Reinhold Messner, lots of mountaineers said, no, that's a mountain we do not climb. So also we know that in many of these mountains are bases, ET bases. Certainly Mount Shasta is very well known for that. This is the sacred mountain of Uluru. There's the Untersberg that I know people, a friend of mine has moved to the mountain just to be next to the mountain. There's Popocatépetl, there's Mount Fuji, there's Licancabur, there's Mount Rainier, there's Half Dome, El Capitan, Kilimanjaro. So yes, I find it astounding that many people are called to the mountain, and I kind of put it down to the sacredness. We are coming back to the sacredness of ourselves. and connecting to the Creator within us, and connecting through the mountains that act like an antenna with the cosmos. I recently heard that eons ago, when people were still more spiritual, still more connected to the divine and to ceremonies, the pyramids, and where there were no pyramids, the mountains were used for keeping the grid of the earth. And that's, of course, what we want to do with the CE5 grid. So the grid of the earth was kept with a male and female so high in vibration in every place, in every pyramid, in every mountain. Yes, and then peace. I was going to talk about peace because, again, recently I saw many invitations to peace meditations. And coming from Scotland, Scotland is a land where the clans fought fiercely amongst each other, yet they were adept at forgiving each other in times of need. When you were lost out on the moors and the mist came rolling in, and it would come very suddenly in Scotland, it would come rolling in over the hills with the fall of night, you might happen upon your fiend's home. And you laid down your arms, and you were received in the midst of clan rivalry with a cup of kindness. And we still have a song that celebrates these ceremonies. And the song speaks of how when you and I, when we first met, we played as children with the pebbles in the brook. We roamed the hillsides to pluck daisies. But then, as life goes on, the waves roared high between us, and our feet took us on separate paths. Should the good times be forgotten? Should old lang syne? So we remember our old acquaintances, and we remember the days when the times were good. We remember when we first met. And in this way, we drink to each other from the cup of kindness, from forgiveness, and we find peace within. Yeah, where does peace come from? They say, the ancient ones say, that peace begins in your heart. And we need to have this peace grid around the world. And this peace is like a force that breaks through the shell, like a chicken cracking its shell from the inside. It's like the sacredness of the mountains cracking within us, cracking through the walls that we've built around our hearts. Our focus tends to be drawn by the media to one specific event and place, always reacting to the media, always reacting to outside information, always fighting the bad with the good meditation. Fighting because we don't agree with the war that's happening, or don't agree with this side or that side of a war or an action. And we can lift above that. We can fly as high as the eagle and see both sides, whether it's two people fighting, whether it's countries fighting. So even when we don't take sides, we can still be in that place of wanting peace. We are still in that place of fighting for peace. Yes, in a peaceful way, but it's still fighting. And when we are fighting for peace, we are still in 3D. We are still focused on the Maya, the illusion of this world. And no one can create peace from that ego consciousness. The ego consciousness is, I want, I want peace. I should be meditating for peace. I should be participating in this. Or I am this. I will, I like, I may, I could. That's ego consciousness. Even I love this, I love that, I love this person. It's all ego consciousness. It's all 3D consciousness, where I see myself separate from that other thing. In God consciousness, there is no I that wants, no I that loves, but it is and is be. And the I, the letter I, is a connection to God consciousness, from me to God, that straight, upright letter I. It connects our one I with the Creator. And it connects us to the interconnectedness of the whole Maya. So within the 3D frame of reference, on the 3D stage, we cannot grasp the interconnectedness. We cannot grasp the Maya illusion. We do not understand the spider web. We do not understand the spider. And what happens when we do not understand is that we pull on one thread of that spider web and we upset the whole spider web. And that's what happens when we put our focus on the fighting, moving from one place to the next, moving from Australia to Canada to the Ukraine. We're always just pulling on one thread of the whole interconnectedness. And in that way, people get mentally, but also emotionally and sometimes physically entangled in a struggle. And in that way, you are part of the struggle. You are entangled in the struggle. This type of meditation, even when it is for peace, becomes part of it. And it pulls on just one of the spider threads. To see the interconnectedness, we need to move to a consciousness that integrates the life of this planet within the cosmic field, with the consciousness of our heart. Yes, we do speak about the Maharishi effect, where people would meditate on one town, and during the time that they meditated, the crime rate went down, and after that it went up again. So you can create peace as long as you are in meditation, as long as you are in peace with yourself. And as soon as you stop, the peace stops. That's the kind of meditation where you're reacting to two parties fighting. Yes, you can get up and stop that fight happening, but have you created peace? No, you have not created peace in these people's hearts. You have only stopped the fighting for the time being. There is no point in extinguishing the fire in one place when the whole world is aflame. So peace is inner work. For peace, true peace, we need to focus back on ourselves. We need to focus within. Focus our mind on our heart and drop into heart consciousness. The ancient ones say that peace starts in your heart. And from there it expands. It is not a thought. It is not a word. It is not a feeling. And it is not what you do. It is a state of being. That state of being vibrates. It vibrates through you and through the people surrounding you. And as it grows stronger, it vibrates throughout the land. We build houses, we build swimming pools. And when we do that, first there is that idea or a vibration and a desire within us to build. And then we build. And we build, we take care of it, we focus on it, we are concerned with it, we care about it. And in the same way, with the same focus, with the same attention and care for details, we can build peace right in our own backyard. We also speak of peace when somebody passes on. We say, rest in peace. And it is always good to prepare for our departure before we get there. To check, have I given up my struggles and my striving? Am I ready to actually rest in peace? Do I have that inner peace beyond struggles, even beyond forgiveness, having forgiven? Do I have that great peace within me? Stay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It is definitely a time and topic of peace, and without really knowing details of what Oona was going to be speaking of, I definitely am going to be echoing many of the same messages that seems to be coming through. And for me, 2022, as I came into this year, it felt to me like a year of exposure and to reveal revelation and really revealing the shadows, primarily because I feel that we are in such a time in shift of energy. And just looking into the solar system and looking galactically, we have the impact of the photon belt that we're passing through, which is photon or particles of light that no doubt have an effect on us. And the solar activity is off the charts coming into this year, with coronal mass ejections and solar winds having impact on us. And although the Schumann resonance readings are suggested to be suppressed, they're even still spiking. So all of this leading to a heightened and expanded state of consciousness in our humanity. And our eyes are opening and truths are slowly being revealed. And the hidden rules of this game, and I really do now see this as a game that are now being exposed. And people are slowly beginning to see and to see clearly. And the effect of this that I see that happens is that the more light that comes in, the more darkness is revealed and exposed. And as this happens, the more that these energies that have had the power, have had the control, have been in the positions of manipulation, will absolutely fight for their survival. And I feel right now is exactly what we are in the midst of. So there is a war, perhaps a war that I may reframe and say energetically, that we sense and feel not only on our physical bodies, our emotional and mental bodies as well. And we're in like a compression time because so much is happening on so many different levels that even in our human consciousness, I feel it's just too vast to completely understand, but we are waking up to it. And we go into this time frame and we're speaking about peace. And for peace, we look at war. And we look at this time of polarity and polarization. And because so many of us desire peace, we also look at that which creates war. And war being, when we look at it historically, mostly sourced from beliefs, religion, land, territory, power, resources, economic gain, really monetary gain. And again, being about control, again, being about power. And we have more and bigger bombs than you. It sounds like child's play when we really break it down. It really does. And over time, over decades, maybe centuries, maybe even millennia, we as humanity, I see that this conflict that we have continuously been in has been normalized for us. The violence, the destruction, and killing are seamlessly integrated into our psyche. And even when we look into the forms of our entertainment, and how long do our kids play video war games for fun? And while all the while they're playing, they're in a very suggestive brainwave state that affects their neural pathways. So war, and we look at war, and war symptomatically creates hostility and conflict and arguing and abuse and violation. And again, integrated into our daily lives, is that's what happens. That's what's happening over there, or that's what's happening even here. So in some way or another, and in the bigger picture of this, yes, we have incarnated onto this earth, and yes, we have chosen this experience of reality, and it is to experience the contrast, so that peace can be revealed, and so that separation from our essence can be rediscovered. And the irony in all of this is, even though our planet, our beautiful planet, exists on so many levels in a warring state, so many of us just desire peace. So let's look into this a little bit closer. And we look into peace and actually look at the definition of peace. And I'm going to go internally, externally, because this is very correlated for me. Peace externally. And it's interesting when I looked it up, because they offered a definition of peace in contrast to war. And it said a state of period in which there is no war is peace. I thought, okay, peace is much more than that. Much more than that. I mean, if that's how we're defining peace, then we understand, my gosh, what is that starting point? Who's defining that? So, and internally, let's go into peace internally. And I think really the messages that not only I'm proposing and Oona was suggesting as well, is that peace internally is the equanimity, it's coexistence, it's emotional and mental calm and serenity and tranquility. And it is the freedom. Freedom has been such a buzzword, and fair enough, and absolutely freedom from the disquieting or oppressive thoughts or emotions, and freedom from disturbance. So let's flip that around and let's go into war. And I went into this a little bit before. And war externally, as defined, a state of armed conflict between nations, a struggle or competition between opposing forces that include fighting, killing, violence, violation. So, and to sidestep that a little bit, not only, and this potentially could be controversial, I'm okay with that, that yes, there could be off-planetary influences that are having an effect, that it still have an effect in the progress of humanity and the liberation of humanity as people. So war internally, a state, and Oona talked about a state of being, a state internally of hostility, of conflict, of antagonism. And it's to be in an active or a vigorous conflict within, to be abusive within, and to have that inner disturbance or disagreement. So all of that, the purpose of going into that is really to redirect into, we are our consciousness. We are our global consciousness. And I don't feel at any point that we can at any time separate our state of mind, our state of being from the global consciousness that's taking place right now. So if we look into the principle of correspondence, which can be summarized as above, so below, as within, so without. So what happens on the physical plane affects the mental and spiritual planes and vice versa. So we can't be separate from what's actually happening on this earth plane. We can't be, we are that. So everyday actions really begin with the act of thinking, beginning with a thought received from our spirit or universal mind. Therefore, our actions have the power to influence our minds, as do our mental activities and the power to influence or change our behaviors. So we are the products of both the externalized and internalized mind conditioning that we exist on this planet with. Fair enough. We do acknowledge that. So what I feel is happening to humanity this time is that we are finally becoming aware of this. Not only what we've been subjected to, but most importantly, what we've been fueling and feeding from within that we didn't know we were doing. So the human consciousness is very malleable. It's very suggestible. And we talked about a little bit about this last month, about humanity is existing in a hypnotic trance. And really the solution to this is reclaiming our internal, therefore external power source back. So, and when we look at the influence of global consciousness, my gosh, when we really break it down, there are maybe more, but 8 billion realities existing in the same moment. Not anyone's reality is the same. Not everyone's perspective is the same. So we're all trying to cooperate and coexist within all of those fragments of realities coming together. So the interesting, and I go back to this again, and I do believe in my heart that if anyone had the choice of existing in peace or in war, most would choose peace because it feels better. It just feels better. And it's more aligned in our heart space. So there are still, and I'm going to go into an area here, there are still those, and most of us not excluded, because there are many hidden corners and blind spots, but many are still in an internalized conscious state of being in conflict with the self, seeking power, needing to be in control, wanting that attention, and really being in a state of ultimately lack of love, lack of light on some level. And whatever that level comes in at, there is a choice being made. It could be an unconscious choice. It could even be a soul choice. And perhaps they're here to experience that polarization. Fair enough. And for those who haven't yet recognized that internally, they're not existing in a state of peace, and some don't. Some it's so normalized because they've never known peace. They've never experienced peace. They've never felt peace. Therefore, it's not natural. And for humans, what's not natural actually isn't comfortable. I know that's crazy to say, but that's what happens to to us humans. So then they align more with what they're comfortable with, and they're aligning more with that aspect of them that is not of the light, that is not of love. So a portion of the human population continues to exist in a mentally unwell, emotionally disturbed state, unconsciously not connected to their inner peace, being imprisoned by their own conflict. And this not only plays out in the external reality, as we can clearly see, but also gets picked up by the global consciousness and played out on that game board. So who creates the game board? Really, there are players on this game board, but who actually creates this game board? Is it not our global consciousness? Is it not the spectrum of frequency and vibration that the 8 billion people exist on? So this game board, I'm going to repeat a little bit what I said before, as humanity, in our precious consciousness that we have, in how we received ourselves into these vehicles, our bodies, that we really have no idea what games are really being played at this global level, and for what purposes, and for what agenda, and for what gain, etc. So there are influential key players, absolutely no doubt, who exist in many different realms, realities, okay? And people, I feel, are waking up to how this reality is being and has been influenced. So it feels like going from this sort of 2-year period of lockdown and separation, extreme polarization and economic hardship, and now we're in a scenario of war and potential nuclear, and then next, what's next? Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay. Genuinely, for all of us to make it to the end of this, our resilience is going to be astronomical. We talk about superheroes, just our superhero powers is just being able to exist in this reality right now. I absolutely give us credit. So I'm getting the giggles now. That's all good. So really, very few of us have the entire pictures. We claim to have snippets, all of us, which of really the deeper motives and the agendas in this game of war, and intense game of politics and resources, and let's put that on the table. All the resources, the land, the territories, the oils, the metals, the minerals, the biolabs, the DUMs, the activating space arcs, the stargates, all for control and ownership, for the love of power. And even the influence of the off-world influences getting involved on the ground, under the ground, and even trading in Earth's resources very broadly there. We really are living in the most surreal live action reality scenario ever. Like, who could make this up? And we're living in it. The best thing is, and I laugh at myself laughing, because when when humor is brought in, I mean, the endorphins are rise, and honestly, sometimes we just need to laugh because the craziness is like surreal. So in these last 2 years, for some, it's been exactly what they've required to assist them on their personal shifts. Retreating, slowing down, restructuring reality, tuning into their own consciousness, seeing the game, seeing this as a game, seeing reality as a game, seeing this reality as theater, and really observing the plays that are being made right now on this game board, and continuing to play with the consciousness of the people, really, and the more we go within, the clearer reality gets. Not everyone sees it like this, and that's okay. And I'm not about to say that the way I see anything is right at all. Again, I'm one of those few that only perceive or interpret in my own way. We all do. So in observing these plays that have been made on this game board that are continuing to play with the consciousness of the people, which for many people are still trapped in this literal tug of war of information on our psyche. Some people only rely on the information they receive from the media. Some people only rely on the information they receive from their friends and family who watch the media and whatever media people are tuning into. And that's even changed dramatically in the last 2 years, resulting in this externalized game of how can we gain people's attention. So what I see is really happening beyond all of that is an awareness that is arising. And there is a demand now. There is a demand. And this, again, I'm going to go back to this word freedom. Demand for freedom. Demand for rights. And there are convoys for freedom, and there are protests for freedom. This does create movement. And I will say, from a Canadian, I live in Canada, and from Canadian point of view, Canadians being very polite, very passive, very non-violent country, there was no movement being made. There were no actions being made. There were very few people speaking up prior. And I likened it to still water, stagnant water. And knowingly, if I ever had the option of jumping into a flowing river or stagnant water that has turned orange or some brown color, never would I want to jump into stagnant water. And in fact, stagnant water harbors dangerous pathogens. That's just the way it is. So the way I saw Canada, there was no movement. And one of the benefits of the convoy was that it created movement. And I heard recently that regardless of what is happening, as long as there's movement, there's something happening. We desperately, as a country, needed movement. It got us talking. We started to challenge the government. We challenge the banks now. The banks are in an uproar because people's bank accounts have been violated. Now, is this all the ultimate solution? Not yet, but it did create movement. And interestingly, in our Commonwealth, which includes Canada and Australia, New Zealand, etc., who are interestingly and energetically similar situations to us, movement has taken place purposefully. And I propose that in these countries, there were underlying energies that were able to harbor energetically, this, because of the stillness, dangerous pathogens energetically. I'm not even talking about physically, I'm just energetically. So we required movement, and we have it. And it was the best thing ever for us. So in order for this movement to happen and to take action, ultimate movement is until there is true inner peace, until there is true inner unity, which is the first place of movement, which is the first place of action. Until there's no war, within, until there's no conflict within, personal freedom won't be able to be realized. So a little bit of tough love here on humanity. We've got to grow up. We've got to become mature. It's time to take control of our own unconscious, unintegrated trauma, which is the cause of our own inner war and inner conflict. It's time to become aware and to choose inner peace over our inner war, and to choose love over fear, and to choose the power of love over the love of power, all starting and echoing Oona from within. The way we speak to each other, the way we treat each other, this is the awakening. It's the realization that we have that power to make a choice. In fact, it's our birthright to exist in a peaceful state. And I know for many that is just, they can't even imagine peace. But to choose what we no longer want, and to knowing that doesn't serve us any longer, it may serve the few, but it doesn't serve the many. When we really connect into the peace within, it is a collective process. So, do I feel we're having galactic assistance and that we're having help? Yes, I do. Do I feel there are light and dark influences on that level affecting us? Yes, I do. And the solution to that? The solution is the choice that we make of aligning with the light or the dark within. And true long-lasting liberation can only be realized within. We have to do the work to free our own selves by recognizing the darkness that we still align with from within, and the fears that we continue to feed. Otherwise, the momentum of not only our own patterns, but the collective patterns will continue. So I'm going to propose a few questions just to throw out. So what fears do I continue to choose and be affected by? Radical honesty here. And what do I need to expose myself to diminish these fears? And what changes do I need to make to come to peace within myself? Physically at peace, mentally at peace, emotionally in my heart at peace, spiritually at peace. And super simple, this is the simplest one. What changes do I need to make to feel better, to feel good, to feel great, to feel amazing, to feel ecstatic? And let's start there. And see how our world changes. So the clearer we get from within, the clearer the external is revealed. That's the revelation. That's the revealing. That's the exposing. And the more the external is revealed, the closer we are to reclaiming our own power. And there's been a lot of talk for not only freedom, but standing for something. What are we standing for now? And my proposal is that we stand for our own inner peace. Make a t-shirt out of that one. I stand for my own inner peace, and stay there. Stay there. And when you're there, hold the line. A lot of that came up in Canada. Hold the line. Hold the line, people. Hold the line in your own inner peace. I triple dare you. And only until we have cleared our own internal conflict, our own disquieting emotions, our own oppressive thoughts about ourselves and others, will we know freedom. Freedom starts from within. Contact starts from within. Disclosure starts from within. Self-realization starts from within. How many of us are in an internal state of discontent or conflict? Welcome to the real war. Let's call out our own hypocrisy in our own projections of justice on the external, and have the courage to look within to create our own peace. Then stand for peace in our own family, stand for peace in our own community, stand for peace in our own country, and most of all, stand for our own internal peace. It's at that time, it's then that we walk the talk of feeling better and feeling lighter and being united from the inside out. War is not our essence. Peace is. Fear doesn't unite. Love does. And it's time to make a choice, my friends. The time is now. Namaste.
Close your eyes and see yourself sitting on top of a mountain, your favorite mountain, meditating, a sacred mountain. Perhaps Mount Shasta, Mount Kailash, Mount Everest, Mount Fuji, Mount Kilimanjaro, Untersberg, Matterhorn, Jungfrau, Auraki, Popocatépetl. Sit on your mountain. Sit there and feel the air. And feel the power of the mountain. Similar to the power of pyramids when activated through you being there, through an organism being there, combined with the strength of the mountain. Notice a beam shining up to the sky from the mountain, from inside the mountain. You are an antenna. You are broadcasting and you are receiving vibrations. You are vibrating the great peace. And let your consciousness, from wherever it is, fall into your heart. Feel it. Don't think it. You have to feel this. You have to do it. Thinking isn't enough. Your consciousness is in your heart. And within your heart, within the softness of your heart, there is a personal space. Tiny space, a personal space. It's your space. It's your safe place. Your beautiful place. The place of your retreat. Whatever it looks like, that's exactly how it is. And within that personal space, as you look around and you notice things, notice a portal. And you know that this portal, this door leads to the tiniest, the weest place in existence. And this weest, tiniest place, it is at the same time the vast, immense expanse of infinity and eternity. And we float in this ocean of beingness. Move through the portal. Go through into that small space that is the biggest space at the same time. Dive in, dive deep into the calm waters of the all. For now, let go of seeing with your two eyes. You're only seeing with your one eye, your third eye. Let go of hearing with your two ears. Listen with your inner ear. You are now the drop in the ocean. You are now the ocean. You are the soul in this ocean, and you are the ocean. You are the oneness, the beingness of all. And in this we recognize the interconnectedness of all. And as we are here in this immensity of who we are, for they say you are far greater than the sky up above. As you are in this immensity, you notice that you have no wishes, you have no issues, you have no baggage, you have no gear, no grudges, no fear. You may notice a stillness. It is only the stillness of mind, the stillness of the 5 outer senses. And you may notice an awakening of very different senses. Don't fear them, they're just different. In fact, they are much better. There is only knowingness. Knowingness of everything. Knowingness of the ocean of love. The ocean of peace. There is only listening to the inner sounds of the oneness. Listening to the ocean. And there is only the seeing of the beauty of oneness. The seeing of the inner ocean. You will know that you have truly made this journey when you cannot remember what your ego personality was wishing for. If you cannot remember what you were striving for when you were in your ego consciousness. When you cannot remember, you have arrived at God consciousness. And you have become God consciousness. You are in this all-encompassing space of God consciousness. Here, you are goddessness. You are the state of goddessness. From here, look back through the portal. Look back into that heart and soul of yours that is woven into the fabric of what we call life. That is woven into the fabric of the Maya, the illusion, the game. And love that soul that is you, that is me, with all your heart. And provide from the ocean of oneness, provide what it is that this soul needs. Be it love, be it peace, be it light, be it protection from harm, be it protection from injury, be it purity, be it cleansing. Take a moment for this, your soul. Provide it with what it needs. From this ocean of oneness, look through the heart portals of your families and provide them too, not with what you or they want, but with what they need. Provide your families with peace, with love, with light, with truth. Provide them with protection from loss, protection from harm. Provide them with protection from injury. Provide them with purity and cleansing. And from this ocean of oneness, let us look through the heart portals of our tribe, our community, our clan, and provide them with what it is that they need. Provide them with peace, love, light, purity, protection, cleansing. And from this ocean of oneness, let us look through the heart portals of all mortals and provide them with what it is that they need. All of them. Peace, love and light, protection from loss and harm and injury. Purity and cleansing. Let's allow our portals to stay open so that we can always go and be in that oneness, that God consciousness space, that goddessness, beingness, so that the channels are open for peace for all. We have the channel of peace, physical peace, calmness and deep meditation. Perhaps while a child might be jumping on you, meditating on peace in the ocean of oneness. Perhaps staying in that peace as a fly lands on your nose. All is peace. All is love. We allow this physical channel of peace to be active, while we also have the channel of inner peace, the spiritual peace, emotional peace, vast, calm, expansive. Even when your child or your parent does harm to themselves, even when others could be poisoned or killed, your emotions might be sad or angry or afraid, but your inner peace stays calm in the vast expanse of infinity and eternity. We also keep the channel of mental peace open. Yes, the mind might have thoughts of showing off or needing to be right or wrong. The mind might have ifs and buts and whens, but you are just in isness, just in beingness. You do not identify with your thoughts or your emotions or your physical state. You identify with your God consciousness. And feel the light come in from above through the crown, connecting as in an electric circuit to the heart. Feel that electricity from crown to heart, and feel that electricity from heart to the root. There is a tangible electric connection between your heart spirit and your consciousness, your actions and your light. And your connection of heart to your light and the connection from your heart to your roots is strong, making you unbreakable. Simply find your way to stay open with all these channels, staying open to the great oneness. Even when you decide to open your two eyes, even as you decide to open your two ears to listen to the sounds around you, even as your 2 feet feel the ground, all channels to the great oneness, to the goddessness are open. You are the great peace. You are the great peace. May you walk in a good way. May you walk in peace.